To buy One Piece or to not buy One Piece? That is the question. Welcome back to Treasure Theory, guys. I got my beard trimmed specifically for this video. Wanted to look good when it came to telling you some of my investment strategy tips. That's right. When it comes to the One Piece TCG, we got to know what we're doing. Otherwise, we're going to get left behind, which is why, guys, in today's video, I'm going to be revealing some of the strategies that I implement when it comes to investing, buying, and holding with my One Piece portfolio. You're not going to want to miss this, but before we get into it, guys, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And real quick, guys, just wanted to shout out Into the AM again. They make super sick clothes. They got awesome graphic tees and stuff like that. I've been rocking a lot of their shirts lately, and I actually plan on buying some more very soon because I just really like the quality of the prints for the shirts and stuff like that. So guys, if you're looking to upgrade your wardrobe, be sure to click the link down in the description below and get yourself some proper clothing Into the AM. That is right. Okay, without any further ado, guys, let's get into it. Okay, guys, so when it comes to investing your hard-earned money into something like One Piece cards, you need to ask yourself a couple of questions, and you need to also set some goals in your mind. Some of those questions being, what am I really doing in this space? Am I looking to make a lot of profit? Am I looking to just invest in the things I like and hold on to it and hope things go up over time and just see where it goes? Do you have a don't care attitude? Are you willing to take risks, you know? What are your goals? Are you trying to double, triple your money? Or do you have a time horizon for taking profits and all that sort of stuff? How are you going to take profits? These are all the type of questions you need to ask. It's so easy to go to a store or go online and buy sealed product, go to a card show, buy the cards you want and all that sort of stuff. But what they don't teach you about investing, which is why you subscribe to the Treasure Theory, is the psychology behind it all, okay? It's so easy to buy things. It's so hard to let them go. And it's also very hard to time the market as well. So a lot of very interesting philosophical questions that need to be asked. But more importantly, guys, you need to have strategies in place if you want to find success long term. So what are some strategies you could implement that could boost your investment portfolio? Well, I'm going to take you over to the Pokemon card realm real quick. This guy named Hala Trainer, he is always making these Bubble Mew videos, and he's kind of built his brand, his reputation around basically just buying all the Bubble Mews. He got the tags, the PSAs, he's got PSA 9s, he's got the Raws, you know, and for a lot of people, looking at something like this is kind of ridiculous, you know, like a lot of collectors specifically out there are only really looking to get, you know, maybe their favorite characters or stuff like that. And I find personally I'm not seeing this level of collecting in the One Piece TCG. Sure, there's some really nice cards out there, but I find this whole concept of buying like 10s, of 20s, of hundreds of the same cards is a lot more popular and common in the Pokemon realm. Like, I think somebody was buying Kabuto and stuff like that. Like, people are trying to build a presence in the Pokemon community based on what they're chasing. And I find that idea isn't really used so much in the One Piece TCG. Now, of course, if you're a card vendor or somebody who actually sells cards like for a living and stuff, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Of course, you're gonna be buying multiples of things that would make no sense otherwise. But I do think for the average person who's just trying to put a little bit of money in here, they're not really thinking that way, you know? Like, even I am bad for this. I actually don't implement this strategy too often. I've implemented this more for sealed product than I do cards, because I just am personally chasing cards for my collection. Whether or not I decide to sell them is its own thing. But when it comes to sealed products, you know, you see the booster boxes there in my acrylic cases, but, you know, I do have more than I'm showing right now in the video because there is intent to sell those down the road. But, of course, this is just to show off my collection in my videos and stuff like that. But there's more to this than meets the eye, right? Because it's so simple to just say buy 10 or 20 of the same card. But let's not lie to ourselves here. Most people are not going to buy 10 or 20 of, say, the Monkey D. Luffy Gear 2 manga card from EBO2, okay? A set that is already alone incredibly expensive, and this card is like roughly $3,700 to $4,000 in general, and a lot of these prices are US as well, so obviously not affordable. But let's kind of move down the list here, okay? There are obviously cards that you've kind of missed the train on. You're not going to be able to buy a bunch of manga cards and get away with it like you could 6 months ago. Same thing for Treasure Cup cards. Treasure Cup cards prices are very stable because they're very low print, because they're won at tournaments. You can't get them in packs. So you can't necessarily implement these strategies very well unless you got a ton of money in some of these cards. But I want to, like, say, for example, look at something with you. So let's type in Luffy's, obviously the main character, the most popular character, and, you know, if you're going to buy multiples of a card, you might as well be a little smart about it. Obviously, Luffy is going to do well. He's done well on a lot of things. And I want to direct your eyes on the Monkey D. Luffy Treasure Rare from OP08. So when I first got this card, I actually pulled this from my box. I didn't think anything of it. I loved the card, but I actually wasn't aware of Treasure Rares at the time. As we know, this card is worth $145. But when we go back to 6 months ago, we can see at its lowest, it was $38. This was US, of course. But imagine if you implemented this strategy I'm telling you right now into this 6 months ago. Treasure Rares were definitely hard to get, but imagine buying 10, 20 of these. All right, so let's just quickly look at the calculator here. So at its top, let's say, you know, $148, we take away 33, and we see that the jump up was $115 from your original $33 investment. So we then times that by 20 to see that you have now made $2,300 in profit from buying this card. Now, I'm pretty sure I did that right, but hey, from $600 to $2,300, that's not too bad at all. Now, obviously, there's risk in this game. Obviously, you're not going to know what's going to do well, what's not. But imagine you went further. Imagine you bought way more than that. Imagine you bought, you know, 100 of these. You know, you really put some real money in this. You're looking at almost $12,000 right now in profit of just simply owning this Treasure Rare Luffy card, you know? And to buy 100 of these back in that price, it was $3,300. So $3,300, it's not the most ridiculous amount of money ever. You could have done this. This could have been a strategy. But anyways, I digress. Luffy, you know, he's just a good bet. And this example can be used for many other things as well. Now, obviously, doing it with this Luffy now is a risky game. Unless this card doubles again, it's hard to say if it's really going to be worth it. And even doubling isn't really going to match up to the amount of money we've seen from this. And the same thing goes for sealed products as well. Like, obviously, telling you to buy a bunch of, you know, Carry On As Well is kind of not really the best bet, especially since reprints are coming. But we know this is an incredible set. You want to buy the right set. I mean, look at this. At its lowest, it was around $160, right? And this is US. But if you bought 10 of these, you could have made a bunch of money, and likewise. So that's just one concept to keep in mind, you know, and this also includes like these sort of things, like the treasure booster sets, the decks, the illustration boxes. So it's just something to keep in mind when you're kind of like pacing yourself through this market. Another thing too, going back to the Pokemon guy here, the Bubble Mew, I mean, like, you could buy a ton of these cards and then go and get them graded, and you're just doubling, tripling, quadrupling potentially your money. Now, obviously, there's issues with PSA. I personally love Tag. I think Tag has a bright future ahead of itself. But, you know, Beckett and PSA, there's just a lot of controversy going on around it. However, graded products still do well. Of course, they've come down a little bit, but people still want their cards graded, and they still want to see those numbers. We're talking 9s and 10s. Mainly 10s, but imagine you owned 100 of those Treasure Rare Luffys and 90 of them were PSA 10s. I mean, you do the math, okay? It's pretty good money. Again, not everybody thinks this way. Not everybody wants to get in this hobby and invest in this way, but this is definitely an interesting strategy to implement when you're kind of moving forward with this stuff. All right, so another strategy I wanted to throw your way. So obviously a lot of people who have been throwing a little bit of money here and there into their portfolio for a while probably garnered a few $1,000s, right? But when they see a card like, say, the Tony Chopper manga card, and they see the price, which is not showing here, but is quite high. I'm seeing this selling for roughly $6,000, $6,500 Canadian for PSA 10. These prices are definitely not that accurate. But recently today, I seen somebody trying to sell this for $6,500. You know, a lot of people are like, well, hey, that's a lot of money. I can't afford that, right? But let's say you had $6,500 in your portfolio already from cards you owned. You could simply sell them, or sell like half of them or a majority of them, to buy yourself a Grail card, right? And that's what I'm trying to say is, like, obviously I'm not telling you to get rid of your whole collection. I don't want you to cry after making these decisions. And of course, I don't want you to listen to my advice. This is just simply, you know, just ideas to throw your way. What you do at the end of the day, you're responsible for. But, you know, if you've had $6,500, $7,000 even $10,000 that you've kind of managed to accumulate from buying and collecting cards over the years and sealed product, simply sell them and reinvest them into these Grail cards. We're talking the Treasure Cup cards. We're talking the manga cards. We're talking the top tier SP cards. You know what I mean? Like, you don't necessarily want to just be taking all of your money from your paycheck and throwing it in on these cards, especially if you're not making that much. Realistically, not many people here on this channel probably can afford to do that. I mean, listen, I certainly can't. I have to slowly accumulate and then, you know, kind of like manage my portfolio here and there. I'm really bad at doing this because I'm also just mostly a collector. Like, I do invest in this stuff because I believe in it, but I'm also like a diehard One Piece fan. Like, I am a very biased individual here. I'm caught up. I read the manga weekly. You've probably seen glimpses of the shelves here. I have a Blackbeard figure that I just paid $250 on the way. Like, I am just an active One Piece fan. But it is a smart strategy to implement with recycling, or shifting, I should say, not recycling, your portfolio and your cards. So, food for thought, something to think about. Another thing too, guys, is you want to take some risks, right? Like, you don't know what's going to do well outside of what's already doing well, okay? Like, for example, let's kind of like, let's pull back a little bit and see the prices here. Like, okay, example, we've got this card here. This is the One Piece Day Dallas 2025 Luffy card. Really unique looking card, shows Luffy in all his forms. This was obviously like a promo card that, you know, you can't get in packs. You got to buy it from people, or you had to be there to get it. Really cool looking card. When we pull back about 1 year ago, this card was selling for around $57, $58, and we've seen it accumulate up really high. It's dropped down a little bit now, but if you were down in this level and realizing, hey, this is a low print card, like people had to be there to get it, you could do the math, right? It's why we see a lot of people, a lot of scalpers at events, say with the sports stuff. We see the Dodgers cards, for an example. You know, obviously very low print. You had to be there to get this card. We know the controversy. A ton of scalpers, a ton of people were trying to buy these cards off each other, trying to buy these cards off the audience who didn't realize they had money in their pockets. You know, there was 40,000 hats, but supposedly there was maybe only 10,000 cards. I'm not quite sure. The numbers are always all over the place. However, you know, it wouldn't take a genius to think, well, hey, you know, this card is definitely going to do well because there's not that many, and it's like a promotion card, right? Now, of course, easier said than done. Not everybody had the money to fly out to, say, the Dodgers game or participate or buy the tickets for this kind of stuff. But, you know, when we've got these conventions like One Piece Day, or, you know, or like, example, the PSA promos. I mean, that's a very unique type of thing that PSA was doing, where you could only get these cards through PSA themselves, and I think you had to subscribe to a magazine or something. I would argue a lot of these regional cards and these offline finalist cards and stuff like that, which is kind of not so much promos, but are stamped regional Treasure Cup cards and stuff like that, are definitely worth looking into. I mean, again, they're not promotion cards, but they're unique cards, and there's a lot of them, but not so many in existence, right? Like this Kobe card right here. I didn't even know this existed till I got my my signed card of from the voice actress of Kobe from the 4Kids. But you know, I didn't even know this card existed, and alone it looks awesome. And another thing too, you know, people are buying up these pre-release packs that come with booster boxes. You know, some people will just kind of collect the packs and resell them over time as well, which kind of goes back to the sealed stuff. But what I'm saying more or less is, like, you kind of want to like think outside the box, and you want to look at things that you don't see too often, or they're just, you know, realistically hard to find. I mean, look at this. I've never seen the Chiffon card. Ever. I'm seeing this now for the first time, and it's a 2023 finalist card. Now, obviously, Chiffon's not a popular character, and, you know, you have to think about that as well. But overall, guys, you know, there are obviously cards you're going to come across that are promotion cards. Like, okay, example, this Chopper Don card. Now, Don cards are not the craziest thing. I was actually going to go into a little thing about Gold Dons too real quick, but, you know, let's just say, for example, the live action brought in an immense amount of people. Let's just say hypothetically, like an immense amount of people who only really identified with the live action. Let's just say hypothetically. That could potentially be grounds to buy up this card if that were to, say, be a thing. I don't think that's really the case, but it's just an example. if you owned a bunch of these. It's 30 bucks now. It's kind of going down in price already, but listen, imagine it, 10xing, right? Because everybody wants it. Just an example, not saying that's going to happen, but real quick, let's move to the Dawn cards. So the Dawn cards, I wanted to make my own video about this, like very specifically about the Dawn cards, but I'm just going to kind of say it now. I think the Dawn cards are incredibly underpriced, and I think they're incredibly underappreciated because technically the only people who really appreciate the gold Dawn cards are the player base. Now, it's kind of strange, right? Because it's like with the Treasure Cup cards, the regionals, and all that sort of stuff, the winter cards. People really appreciate those cards because they're trophy cards. But when it comes to the gold Dons, the very cards that people need to use to play the game, while we have really cool designs of a lot of these that came from PRB and PRB02, we can see that, it's really not gained a lot of traction. And the thing is like, this is the way you need to think about this sort of stuff. If for some reason we saw something in the community that was really starting to speak up about these gold Dons, like let's say Oda came out and said he's going to make his own gold Don with a signature on it, or like some kind of new attention was being brought to gold Dons by Bandai, or serialized Dons or something like that, it's hard to say what could really make gold Dons become more popular, but it could potentially boost the price of these gold Don cards. And what also makes gold Dons interesting is, again, they've only come from the one set, PRB01 and 2. And, perhaps when PRB03 comes out and so on and so forth, it will remain that way, that only the PRB sets come with the gold Dons. I mean, guys, there's a literal Red Bull Don card, okay? Like, kind of funny. But overall, what I'm trying to say here is, like, what we're doing is speculating. We're speculating, could Don cards potentially go up more? Are there certain Don cards that are being underappreciated? I mean, like, look at this one. This Don card is beautiful. This is a beautiful Don card, and it's called Rebecca, so I'm assuming it has to do with Dressrosa. But we've just got some really pretty looking cards, and obviously the top one is the Zoro here, which is a super sick looking Zoro card. $300 USD, most recent sale $425. I mean, it's not out of the price of unaffordable. People could be buying these. It's really speculation at the end of the day, guys. But overall, guys, those are just some ideas and strategies you could use to implement when investing in the One Piece TCG. Take my advice with a grain of salt. Do your own research. I'm just here for the love of the game. I love doing this. Nothing's guaranteed. But hey, I hope this was sort of insightful and helps you navigate the One Piece TCG and investing in general. So anyways, guys, I hope this video brought value to you. If it did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. A video should pop up on the screen. Be sure to click it, and I will see you over there.